By the way, in Hungarian, farkas means guess.
Congressman Traficant.
Don't call me names here.
That's okay, it'll happen again.
You never know.
I'm from Outside the Box News and Views. We traveled from Erie down here about 6 hours to film all this. And
was it worth it?
yes, it was worth it. I had a couple
Don't
of
lie,
questions.
don't lie, you'll get that rash.
Oh, I'm going to put you on air.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
They won't only see you, they'll hear you.
I'm telling you.
Do you blame the recent recession, depression on the banking system?
Well, quite frankly, I think the Constitution again speaks to the dilemma. Congress shall coin the money, period. Now we have a group of internationalists, regardless of how they want to camouflage it, who've made decisions with American taxpayer dollars being used all over the world. I think it's very realistic and responsible to end the Fed, put the money back into control of the Congress. Now people are saying, my God, you're going to have those politicians who can't do anything grabbing our money. Look, if the politicians can't do it, get rid of the politicians. But they are our representatives. They should be taking care of our business. And see, I don't like the fact that, first of all, this guy Geithner said 5 years ago, don't worry about the banks, they're fine. Now he's saying, don't worry about the dollar, it's not going to crash. Let me tell you the concern I have. You will wake up some morning, and Jim, on your TV station, or on headline news, and then the headlines of the paper, you're going to see the dollar crash. It's eventually going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And when that happens, you're going to see an implosion of the United States of America. You're going to see even possible civil uprisings. No one's dealing with the issue. See, I think the banks are largely responsible for what's happened. First of all, unless you incentivize savings, there's no money capital formation in the private sector. And the only thing that's happening is banks are creating money out of the air, thin air. And by creating this money and some of the machinations that's occurring, it's being attacked very successfully, like guys like Mickey and his group, who are enunciating and showing the law and using the law that benefits us that everybody's overlooked. And these courts are worried sick about it. You're even having decisions from the court, well, they'll rule on behalf of the taxpayer, but put a gag order on so that no other taxpayer knows about it, so they will come in and contest it the same way. So our banking system, very flawed. But it can't be anything but flawed under the predicate of where we set it up. Who are these people? Where do they come from? They all seem to come from a certain entity in Wall Street. They all have the same connections. It's like a round robin. So I think there has to be some reorganization there. And you could have the same system and all these talking heads be subpoenaed, come before Congress, give their ideas, and you can have a committee of Congress that basically says, hey, here's where our banking system is going to be. Now, second of all, I do disagree with the way this matter was handled. I don't care what anybody says. Donald Trump, a lot of people say a lot about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump said one thing that made sense to me. He said, look, if I screw up in business, I got to file bankruptcy. He said they should have let those bad banks go bankrupt and let their assets be taken and absorbed by the other banks and let the FDIC take care of the people whose deposits were in there. But let those bad banks get out, not bail them out. And you think about this, you as a taxpayer, you go to the bank and you ask for some assistance on your foreclosure. And I wrote the housing home foreclosure laws in Congress to provide for housing counseling and have to give an 800 number and a 45-day notice of delinquency, where they just can't file foreclosure. They got to give you a notice, a registered mail, after 45 days of delinquency, and in that notice there has to be a 1-800 number of a housing counseling agency whose job is to mitigate and save the home, to meet with the homeowner and the bank. And the only good thing ever written about me was in the Washington Post that said, that's a good program. And it was. But the truth of the matter is, these banks, look at the bulldoze situation in Claremont County, Ohio. Not to get off on it. Claremont County, Ohio. He has a $350,000 home, valued at $350,000 in this economy. He owes $160,000. They're going to foreclose on his home. He said, I got buyers $170,000. Let me pay it off, and I can work something out. He said, no, we can get more money for your home. We're going to foreclose. He said, like hell. Now, I'm not espousing that you get a bulldozer and go bulldoze your home. But this guy, a little different than the guy who flew the plane down here in Texas, the IRS office. One person got killed, that's no good. But can you see the manifestation of the frustration in America that would make a reasonable man in Texas fly that plane the IRS off? He had it. And this guy said, like hell, you're going to take my home. When I bought this property, it was nothing but a piece of land. That's what you'll take. And he bulldozed it. Now, he's not done. He's going to be going through the courts, and he's going to get his head slapped, his hand slapped. But you know what? It's time when people said I've had enough. They have had enough. And I give the guy credit. He didn't hurt anybody else. So God bless the guy. Another question. We got 2 minutes left. The tape's running out. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to find myself liable back in art school. Go ahead. I'm discussing too many things. Quickly, quickly.
Mr. Traficant, I just want to offer this up to you, and I could come to you in private about this. You probably have.
We only have about a minute. Mickey's going like this.
Well, okay.
We got 10
So
seconds.
this is an important point, though. The best purpose you can serve us, your country, at this time is not getting back into politics, per se, but becoming the conscience of the country. As, say, Alexander Solzhenitsyn could have been in the late 70s and 80s. We rejected him, very sadly. But as William Jennings Bryan, Will Rogers, and others of the most important fiber of our country got their generations through. We've got a whole generation out there that doesn't, that's so confused. Yeah. They don't know what's going on. And Ron Paul's impact has been blunted, dulled, and unfortunately, whenever he goes for something, they just cut him out completely. I know you probably want to get back into politics, and if that's really...
Well, let me tell you this, not
but I think to be the
both
conscience
Republicans
of the
and Democrats agree with you. They do not want me back. They don't want me on the House floor with my words reverberating around the Capitol, protected by the speech and debate clause. I don't know what if any impact there is. They will demean my situation to the point where they'll keep me off of the mainstream media. After the Greta Von Susteren show, they had several shows that tried to curtail the impact of my first show. My words resonated around the country that America will face an implosion with this current policy and that no one should control our Congress. Nothing against Israel, but they do. So Hannity tried to clean it up for them, and now you won't see me on any of these shows. They don't want people to hear what I have to say. And like a lot of my friends are saying, shut up, you're going to go back to prison. You know, I'll tell you something. And it's pretty hard to run anyway. And like I said, this isn't a campaign thrust. I have no money at all. I never did raise a lot of money. In fact, if you gave me money, and your name appeared on my finance report, you'd get audited. I had powerful enemies with the IRS. But listen to this. I want you to know, before we close out here, what's in my heart. I want to see the 16th Amendment repealed, the IRS abolished. Now, I'm not demanding that IRS agents be handcuffed to a chain link fence and flogged with their own tax code. I'm not recommending that. But that we move towards a tax scheme of independence. You don't want to spend, you don't spend. You want to save, you save. You keep all you save, you keep all you earn. You make the decision. You are empowered. You don't fear anybody. No one comes out and asks you for receipts. That's your business. Second of all, let's put our country back to the States. It's the United States of America. Listen to this. We're 14th on the list as far as education and educating our children. With all the money we spend on education, we're 14th in the world. Kids in Europe, by the age of 9, can do advanced mathematics. More of our students know Larry, Moe, and Curly. Listen to me. They know the Vice President of the United States. Less than 1% knows the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. But they know every basketball and football player.